Very cool. Well, you're right into the thick of it. I like that. Don't hold back. Well,
If I only can.
There's no love spot.
Yes, there is.
Be prepared for the next Very exciting.
I think we need to tell this.
We'll have one deal for fun. It'll be very special. Did you ever do the, will we do the whole thing again? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Sorry about. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Did you see your that shirt?
Yeah, this lady.
All right. I'll call the July 21st City Council meeting to order. Follow the rolls.
Abby Hansen here, John Hawkins,
In.
Megan McFarland here, Matt McKinney here, and Logan Welch.
Here.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call for motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Petitions, communications and requests. This is a time of the meeting that a citizen may address the council on a matter not on the agenda. Except in cases of emergency, the city council will not take any action at this meeting, but it may ask city staff to research the matter and have it placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Anyone have anything for us? I'll call on police chief. Did you want to have Gabe come up and do that now? That way you want to stand it all night?
Okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
So it's my honor to introduce Gabe Ackerson. Gabe Ackerson was born and raised here in Webster City. Graduated from Webster City School in what year? 2014. He, along with his family, live here in the area still. We selected him through the process of interviews and backgrounds and things like that. Mr. Ackerson was selected and offered to join the Webster City Police Department. He's here tonight with his family and wife Marissa, children Ashlyn, Briar, and Aubrey. Gabe will be going to the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy in September, and that lasts for about 16 weeks. His first day with the Webster City Police Department will be on Monday, July 28th, where he'll start at FTO before he goes to the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy. So at this time, I would invite Marissa up to pin his badge on him. Try not to poke him.
Hello, I'm Gabe. I'll be starting July 28th. As you know, most things were said already. I just want to say thank you guys for the opportunity. I'm excited to be joining the department and serving this community. So appreciate it very much. Thank you.
very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, now item 2 is consent agenda. The following items have been deemed non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council in a single motion. If a council member or member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, it will be considered on its normal sequence on the agenda. I have A is the minutes of June 16, B is the claims and the fund list, C is a report for financial report for June, D is the reports for wastewater, electric, water for June, E is the police department activity report for June, F is the fire department report for June. We have G, recommend approval of issuance of beer and liquor licenses by the Iowa Department of Commerce for the following: amendment to Class C retail alcohol license for CNC American Tap Incorporated, 526 Second Street, for expanded outdoor service for the area for Angel Tree event ride scheduled for August 23rd, and renewal of a Class C retail alcohol license for La Perla Loca at 611 Second Street. Then I also have an appointment for Eric McKinley to the Traffic Study Committee for an unexpired term ending 5/31/26.
Move to
That's it.
approve collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item A, general agenda, introduction, we did that, public hearing. We have public hearing construction for the 2025 chip seal program. I'll open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
No.
Are there any oral objections? No. I'll close the hearing. Okay, Brandon?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we went out for bid for the chip seal program. This location's, well, let me back up. The two bids that we got back were from Blacktop Services and Farner Asphalt. Low bid came back to Blacktop Services in the amount of $92,008.50. It's pretty considerable difference in the price, as you can see. The one thing that I want to discuss a little bit further is as far as the location. So when we first brought this to your attention, the three locations were Union Street from Elm Street going north to Second Street, Walnut Street from Broadway to Superior, and then the third location was Water Street from Prospect Street to Beach Street. Water Street so this location is just what I wanted to bring up. These three blocks were just recently asphalted last year. And so we wanted to bring that to your attention. You know, if that's something that you want to hold off on, we decided to give you guys an option. Seneca Street was asphalted, what did we say, 3 years ago. And so that's already got a little bit of age to it. And so that would kind of fall in line to something that we need to kind of rehab and continue to stay on top of. So we're seeing no failure. If you guys would like to stick to the Water Street with those three blocks that were just asphalted last year, we can do that. But we figured maybe we'd kind of leave it up to you guys. We did send out a letter to folks along or in those three blocks of Water Street, advising of what we were looking to do, the reason for it, and just kind of the history and how it works, what it looks like, and what the expectations of the chip seal is. We did not receive any emails, phone calls, or anything back to myself or any city staff. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but sometimes they reach out to you guys before they reach out to us. So I figured
I wondered if we'd be better off doing the Seneca Street.
So Seneca Street, yeah, I mean, you get quite a bit of traffic in that area. We also, after kind of rethinking this, John with Schneider also thought that was also good candidate, and we fit kind of like that same footage. So whichever I guess you'd like to proceed with, we will do.
Out of transparency, I do live on Water Street, so I'm not going to give a opinion one way or the other. I'm okay with whatever the council decides.
The asphalt, I've observed it this year. It's holding up well on the three blocks that we're talking about trading out. And so I think either application will meet the objectives of this sort of test.
Yeah.
So we're fine moving to Seneca Street if that's the will of the council.
Yes.
Good. And I'll call for a resolution finally approving proposed plan, specification, proposed form of contract, and estimate of costs for the construction of the 2025 chip seal program, awarding contract to Blacktop Services Company of Humboldt, Iowa, in the amount of $92,008.50 to complete the project, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with said contractor for the project.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item C is the second reading of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Webster City, Iowa, 2019 by adding Article 14 to Chapter 42 entitled Trick or Treating Within Corporate Limits, the City of Webster City, Iowa. Consider waiving the third reading. All right, Jack.
I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So you want to move to waive the third reading because it's not.
Move to waive the third reading.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all for motion to pass and adopt.
Move to pass and adopt.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Item D is an agenda statement for the second reading of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, the City of Webster City, Iowa, 2019 by amending Chapter 46, Article 3, Division 2, Section 46-113 pertaining to special 45 per hour speed zones. And that's of course out near Tesla Pallet, so heading north.
Yes, so this would be to include Clark Mollenhoff into the Code of Ordinances to be a 45-mile-an-hour speed zone from East Second Street north, from East Second Street 1,300 feet. And we're asking you to approve the second reading, and we're requesting you to waive the third reading.
I move to approve.
Thanks, Gary.
Oh, sorry, do you have to read it?
No.
I didn't know if you had to read it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then
Move to waive the third reading.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Move to pass and adopt.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We're gonna keep doing this.
Uh-huh.
Item E, agenda's statement for a second reading of an ordinance repealing, am I on the wrong one?
One E.
I'm on E, yeah.
Yeah.
Second reading of an ordinance repealing the Code of Ordinances of the City of Webster City, Iowa, 2019 by amending Chapter 20, Article 3 pertaining to hotel motel tax. This is for.
Oh, I think that's me. I'm sorry. I thought somebody was going to the podium. My apologies.
You told me you didn't. Oh.
Yeah, I did. Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an ordinance that you've seen before. Of course, we're on the second reading. We are asking you to consider waiving the third. This is related to the permanent designation of $10,000 from the hotel motel tax to the Hamilton County Fair. This follows a presentation by Jamie Griffith, who is here tonight, and Zach Williams, who's president of the Fair Board, requesting that appropriation. The agenda statement includes a background of several different awards that have been made to the Hamilton County Fair by the council through the hotel motel tax funds and the granting board over the years, at least since 2008. And I can answer any questions that you might have about it.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
For promotion to waive the third reading.
Move to waive the third reading.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to pass and adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jamie, you can leave now.
Thank you.
You like that? She's been a very busy girl. She's got the fair runs. If she gets sleep tonight, she'll be done well. Item F is first reading of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Webster City, Iowa, 2019 by amending Chapter 46, Article 2, Division 2, Section 46-50 pertaining to stop requirements at certain streets. Eric?
So the traffic committee met on July 8th and for request for a stop sign to be installed at the corner of Hospital Drive and Fair Meadow Drive. This would be for vehicles traveling on Hospital Drive to the east, or to the north, I mean. And the request came in regards to the Links development, traffic coming that way, it was hard to see. So the traffic committee recommended to for you guys to pass that.
Yeah. Call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
In favor say aye.
Aye.
Item G is consider approval of standard professional services agreement on design for the wastewater treatment plant with Snyder and Associates.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're pleased to have Darren Jacobs with Snyder and Associates, who's been dutifully working on The work related to our updates at the wastewater plant that we anticipate bidding next year. Approving this contract would begin the design so that facility could be bid. And as discussed earlier, Darren can give you an overview of the project, the scope, and the timeline of the process. But I think a lot of good movement in resolving that longstanding issue for this community here. As you know, the contract is in the approximate amount of 1.9 million. That is about $1 million less than the former design contract, of course, associated with the different location, the force mains and the new location contributed to that as well. With that, I would turn it over to Darren, and he and I are happy to answer any questions you might have on this matter.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I know you all know me and have been waiting for me, I'm sure. As you know, we've all been working together trying to find a much more affordable solution for the wastewater treatment plant. I believe we have it, and we would have been asked to keep it at the $30 million budget for the project, and I believe we have that option available. We may have to make some hard decisions as we go forward, but I think we can get you under control and stay within that budget. And next step, as John indicated, is to begin design. And that really is where we're at tonight. And so the proposal we brought was for your consideration to begin the design process and get this thing underway.
Darren, can you speak a little bit about the work with the DNR you've done and where we're at and their likelihood of approval of the plan?
You bet. We have filed with the DNR an amended facility plan, which is required by the DNR in order to get a construction permit and permission to proceed. And it's also more importantly required to get funding. Without the facility plan, you don't qualify for any funding mechanisms. So that's in at DNR, and we are actively working with them to tie up the final math on exactly how big this plant is. I will gratefully report we have an agreement with all of the biological loading, and now we're down to trying to figure out how many gallons really have to go through this plant. So, side note, when Brandon asks for, hey, we need to line things, that's a really good investment. So that's where we are today. And I would also encourage that we would like to take staff and go look at some of these treatment plants that are very similar to make sure that everybody likes what we've got. And I would encourage any of you to join that. I know it's really exciting to go to the wastewater plant, but it is a big deal and probably one of the biggest investments the city will ever make. So it's important we do it well. And don't be afraid to ask questions now or in the future.
Can you speak a little bit to the, we're trying to keep it within a certain budget, planning for a certain amount of flow, planning for, being able to retrieve or remove so much nutrient. What does it look like for expansion in the future?
Well, John has asked us to make sure that we have expansion available for about 2,500 more residents, or the equivalent of a company or some combination thereof. And that has been our goal. At least as important in this process, the way this process lays out, and this is part of the reason that I like this for Webster City, it's modular. If we build this thing and let's pretend a big company comes and says we need a lot more capacity, we can add more tanks. And we can do that very readily. We don't have to go back and start over. And I think that's a really important part of this. We can right size this now with a little bit of overage. So you have a little bit of growth available, not a lot, but a little bit. And then we can easily add to it if need be.
Do you have any kind of estimation of a timeline? Say a company says, I want to come in 12 months. What kind of timeline, once it is built, would we be looking at to do those expansions?
Good question. So let's pretend and say someone came, much like, I mean, you pick on Boone with Daisy. We probably need about 18 months, maybe 2 years. But if you have somebody, we've talked about this in great depth, how do we plan for this? If you have someone with that kind of a load, it's going to take them a while to be able to build their facility. So we should be able to do both together.
Thank you.
The designs, how long the design would take and then when we.
It'll probably take about a year. And the reason I say probably, it depends a little bit on how we approach bidding the contract. We've talked about using what is now newly usable in Iowa, CMAR, Construction Manager at Risk. And that changes the way the timeline works, but probably not the overall time. And I actually put this contract together. Depending on the funding you end up with, we can CMAR it, or we can bid it like we always do, design, bid, build. We need to make that decision sooner than later, and John's working diligently on trying to figure out what our options are. As in a nutshell, if we go to certain federal funding, CMAR is probably not going to happen. If we use state revolving fund loan money, not a problem.
And that is our intention at this time. So the state revolving loan funds are funding this contract, part of the design contract that you were approved, and they still have the amount for this project reserved for us through the state revolving fund. And I confirmed that with the staff last week.
That's correct.
Has a decision been made to use CMAR?
I think Darren explained that best, which, but I think there is a preference of using that on this project to gather the insight of a contractor in the design to try to hit our $30 million target.
Thank you.
And just as an aside, and for the public's benefit, the location of this project is at the existing location of the wastewater plant. It's a sequencing batch reactor. It's a three batch reactors, 3 tanks. The easements that were procured for the force main across the highway are still valuable to the city and could be used to transport waste down to this facility in the future if we end up with a large utility or a large waste stream from some business. So it's still a prudent investment and can be utilized if we run out of capacity on our other main lines.
That's correct. Do you have any other burning questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Bill.
No, I mean, we've been at this since pre-COVID, right? It's kind of ADBC thing. It's, pre-COVID. And we started talking about this pre-COVID and then the costs spiked on us, right?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID. And we regrouped a little bit and new leadership, new council members came on board to help us out with this. And I'm excited to see a reduction in cost. I'm excited to see a bolt-on modular style system. That's usually always good economy-wise. Taking a year for us to get going, little hesitant on that again, just because we drug our feet a bit pre-COVID and then it kind of bit us because of cost of construction. So hopefully that doesn't affect us in the long run, knock on wood. But again, the cost savings compared to what we were looking at just a few years ago is impressive. So I'm excited.
Call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item H is a discussion on water plant proposed improvements. You're back on.
Now I get to bore you on the other end of the process. So at one point, there was a suggestion that the water treatment plant needed to be replaced with a wholly different process. And having done an awful lot of water treatment plants and taking a really hard look at it, I do not in any way believe that plant needs to be thrown away. I do not believe you need to change your process. The process you run is lime softening. It is a viable process, even today. The city of Ames built a brand new treatment plant. What did they use? Lime softening. I like lime softening. I like reverse osmosis, which was one of the suggestions. But the practicality of building another 12 to 20 million dollars, I don't think it's reasonable. And that plant is a nice plant. Do we need to change the tires? Yes. Do we need to change the oil? Yes. We need to do some maintenance work. So in your packet, and you don't have to flip through it, you can do that when you're trying to sleep tonight, you can't. In a nutshell, we went through and we worked with staff and we picked out that needs to be fixed, that needs to be upgraded. And we came up with about $2.2 million. If you want to spend more, I'm sure we could. But the bottom line is 2.2 million. We got a couple items that are still blank, would get that plant in pretty good condition and would continue to let it run for another 20, 30 years. I think that's a good spend. One of the items in particular that causes the most headache at that plant is that it only has one softener or clarifier, oftentimes referred. The importance of the clarifier, it softens the water, but it also in that process removes radium. You have 3 deep wells, 3 Jordan wells, and they have radium. We must go through that softening process in order to take the radium out. If the softener were to go down today and go out of service, it is still drinkable, it is still usable, but you would have to send letters to everyone and you may have to provide bottled water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is particularly problematic for the companies that are here, like Custom Meats and Mary Ann's. So we looked long and we looked deep to figure out a way where we don't have to build a $5 to $10 million softener to give you the redundancy. And we have come up with a chemical means with which to precipitate the radium using the existing equipment. My anticipation would be that we would only use that in the event you had a problem with your softener. It's used all over the area. Forest City uses it. Lehigh uses it. So it's a popular process and DNR is well aware of it. And they have tacitly agreed that we can use it. We still have to go through the whole process of getting permitted, but we can use it. And the big deal is that's about $100,000 instead of about $10 million. And I think it's a viable solution. And that was one of the items in here in this listing. There are things at the plant like a few pieces of equipment like blowers that need to be replaced. They've been in there since it was new. It needs some doors. It needs a roof, et cetera, et cetera. Probably the biggest thing it needs is an electrical system. The electric gear in there is original, early 1980s. It was made by Westinghouse, who is no longer, has not been in the business for a number of years. So getting parts is pretty difficult. So that was one of the very important pieces of this. I strongly feel that needs an emergency generator so that it automatically runs when the power's down. I know you have a great municipal utility, but if there's no power coming to the municipal utility, we don't pump water. And so part of that electrical would be putting a generator in with automatic transfer. And we would do that at your well field also. The well field I would propose would be a portable generator where we buy one on a trailer and we put in the transfer switches so that if the power's out, you pull the generator to that well field and you hook it to that well, because one well will supply your needs. Rather than buying 3 generators, we can save a little money. And if you need that generator for something else someplace else, you have a generator available to take out and use. So without getting into every last line item, those are the big dogs that we would propose. If you decide that this is the way you want to go, the next step, we have to do an amended facility plan. Sounds worse than it is. It's not that big of a deal. But we would have to file that with DNR and say, here's what we're gonna do. And then the step after that would be to actually design the pieces and parts as needed. Some of these pieces and parts, I would advocate that you can go out and buy it. I'm not sure that you need my help. I think you can go out and buy a new blower because it's within your spending authority. Those kind of things we would want to look at on an individual basis. But maybe there's a good cash flow alternative there and maybe some money savings. But in a nutshell, I think your treatment plan is a very nice one.
Funding for these projects will be coming from the bond that was issued last year. There were some different projects that were included in that. And as we've dug into the plant, there's still remaining funds available to accomplish these. So you've got the funding to proceed with these, but as Darren mentioned, we're not asking you to approve them on at whole or tonight. We're just saying this is what we believe is going to be needed at the plant to continue it for the time frame that Darren mentioned, and you'll be seeing packages come forward at subsequent city council meetings to move forward with these bids.
The next move is to go to DNR.
Next move would be to build that memo, that amendment, and get the DNR on board with us.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, very good. No, again, another one that was a little scary to us is doing these both at the same time, water treatment, wastewater. And I remember one time, came across our desk looking at a piece of property for nearly $500,000 just to build a facility. So yeah, I mean, if we can, save the bones and upgrade the guts, then I'm all for it. So again, another huge cost savings, and hopefully this reflects in future rate hikes and all that good stuff. So I appreciate the work on this.
Call for motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item I is consider approval on request to waive the pavement cut fee at 928 3rd Street. Eric, you on this or who's Brandon on this? I see the job's already done.
What's that?
They've already done the job.
Made the repair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't patched it.
They haven't patched it.
They
No,
haven't patched
yeah,
it.
seasons.
So it's like, what? No. Okay, so they're passes one me. So this one goes back to a resolution that was passed in 2016 for pavement cuts. So what this all concerns is anytime we come through and do an HMA project or a new reconstruction, the last thing you want to see is a brand new road be tore up. And so back in 2016, it was stated that if a road within 0 to 5 got tore up, there was going to be a charge for that. In this instance, at 928 3rd Street, we just did the HMA project there last year. The current homeowner that owns the property now was not living there at the time, so was not able to make the necessary needs if they felt like it needed the sanitary sewer lateral needed to be replaced. So they kind of feel like they weren't allowed to make that upgrade at that time if they had owned the property. So we are recommending that we waive the $2,960 for the fee. The cost for the patch is going to be roughly $4,000 to $7,000. We are recommending that with it being an asphalt street, that the homeowner and the contractor are responsible for replacing the street with asphalt material.
The only issue I see was that, we drop this all together?
I think that's a conversation that we have been discussing. I will say that I just had a phone call tonight with Brandon Hayes with the Top Rose. I think he's got 3 or 4 more sanitary sewer lines that he's replacing within the next week. in the areas of the HMA project. So I think there are people that are taking advantage of the situation, but what I mean by that is you're not having to pay for the street, for the concrete, the curb and gutter and all that, whatever it may be. But you're also going to have these situations that are just unforeseen. You sell your house, a new homeowner comes in and they don't know what they don't know. And so I think it's a discussion that we can have moving forward. Absolutely.
Mayor, do you mind if I?
No.
3 or 4 more in advance of the
In
HMA?
advance of the
Okay.
HMA.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I think being proactive on that, like you've been.
Yeah. And I know not everybody can afford it, let's face it, right? But those, I mean, everybody's gonna do the best they can.
I was not here at the time of the adoption of the policy. I believe the policy question that the council is presented with is, the question would be somewhat of, should there be a fee if you do not replace your service line, within that one, before the project moves forward? And secondly, then the second question is, are you comfortable imposing this fee, onto owners that encounter these improvements following the project if they did not proceed? Apparently, the letter that we are sending out is working, because we do have 3 to 4 folks
That's just
replacing
last week, I think we've had a total of
service lines.
like 10.
We are not aware of how many people have paid this fee in the past. It is significant in the upfront years. And so that's sort of the policy around it. And we're requesting guidance on how you want us to proceed with this specific issue, and then likely have another discussion about the policy as a whole at some point in time that you would like, if you want to have a conversation of policy. If you like the policy and you just want to keep rolling with it, that's fine direction for us as well. This issue came up and we're bringing it to you for your consideration.
I think a couple things make it unique is because some of our road work we're doing isn't all brand new stuff. Like, I think this is designed around like a totally upended road, if I remember right. Like we're talking down to the dirt type road construction.
Yeah.
And some of the things we're doing now are more surface level or different type of patching. So this fee doesn't necessarily, I don't think, is like a broad brush fee. So that's interesting. And it was fun going down memory lane because I was on the council then. And I was reading through there. Oh yeah. And I believe that we had good intentions with this, because again, no one wants that that patchwork of cut in sewer lines on a brand new road. So it was just kind of to avoid that in the future. But yeah, it doesn't make sense now with we're being more creative with different road construction techniques and plans and more of a, I guess, a push towards infrastructure. I don't know.
What I infer from maybe some of your comments, Councilor Welch, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that perhaps the fee be imposed continue to be imposed for reconstructions, full reconstructs. That's similar to Fair Meadow, but not HMAs. I'm just trying to make sure I am understanding your thoughts clearly.
My thoughts are, when we first passed that, I was under that was really, I'm not saying it wasn't designed for all road construction. I'm just saying it was really more so like the brand new construction of a road, dirt to surface, infrastructure underneath, all that stuff. So
Our new construction is generally, we renew all the plumbing to the.
Reconstruction, we always try to get all the infrastructure to the right of way.
to the right,
Yeah. And so I think this is, all of our reconstructs, this would not.
Because
I
we
don't see
had
this being an issue, because we would take care of that.
But I think this was at the time, what was Kathy Lane or Mary Lane? It was one of those over there that was going to be a complete.
yeah.
And so it came up at that time because the discussion was, are we going to go to the right of way at that point? Or are we not? Do we require the fee if they do cut into a new road? So it was all part of that conversation at the time.
I think Logan made a great comment. I think the
Did
intentions
you hear that?
are well.
Yeah.
The intentions are, I think you guys have the right intentions, is sometimes there's gonna be some instances where, such as this, that it's unfortunate that the homeowner wasn't aware.
Well, Well, I think it's like Matt said, we would do them both at the same time.
Mm.
And in the end, we opted to renew all the stuff when we were doing a complete tear out. But, you know, I agree with you on this one. It's excessive.
Yeah, especially consider you have a road that might be 25 years old and within the next 5 or 7 years of having to be completely redone anyway. And then you're having to pay that fee. I don't know. I think the intent, or at least the way I remember it, that was quite a few years ago, was it was more discussion around branding pavement. Even though, yeah, it probably applied to all.
And one clarification I do want to make to the recommendation, the staff, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon and Derek, you're recommending that the patch be replaced with asphalt, but then also that portion of the curb be reconcreted.
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to just make sure.
That all you need on that one.
So
Waiving.
we're voting on the recommendation to waive this one, but as a future discussion, do we want to possibly open up that
Yeah,
Yeah.
and talk about it?
Well,
I see if we want to.
it's up to you. I
mean, I'm definitely fine tonight waiving this for this, but then again, we're gonna start that precedent anyway, so might as well just readdress, you know, how it reads moving forward, so. Yeah,
So I would envision another discussion
Yeah.
that gives you time to say,
on a new
oh,
policy.
here's the historic, or do you want us to craft something and bring it back, or do you want to just talk more about it?
I think you can use crafts.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
That's all right.
Cool. Because it's no good if we keep having this.
Sure.
We give you, should we all?
Move to approve to waive the
Yeah.
fee.
Give all vote.
I move to approve to waive the fee.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Item J is discuss residents' concerns with the 700 block alley between Elm Street and Walnut Street.
There, like. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, this pertains to the 700 block alley between Elm Street and Walnut Street. This was brought to our attention via some emails and some pictures that I believe were sent to the mayor, John Harrenstein, that got forwarded on to us. Some of the issues or complaints / concerns to this location. And then to kind of paint the bigger picture. So this alley is, so where the bus scramble is, everybody knows where that's at on Elm Street. So directly south, the first alley that runs east and west in between Des Moines Street and Prospect. So the initial concern for this was the speeding was a concern from the residents on this block, creating a bunch of dust, which created some health issues. There was, as the speeds were high, it created the throwing of gravel, which caused damage to some plastic fences. There were also some ponding in the alley. And also once the alley was kind of regraded and we had some heavy rains, the ponding went from the alley to residences' backyards. So once we kind of digested all this, kind of took it to the traffic committee and asked the residents that had been dealing with this to come talk to us. It was a great discussion on several of the concerns. I think this more pertains to the east portion of the alley, from what I understand. They had some really good feedback on some stuff that they were looking for. I think certain individuals were looking for certain things. I don't want to speak for them. They're more than I'm welcome to speak here in a little bit, but some were more looking to just slow the speed down. And this pertains during the school year. So during the drop off and the pickup for kids at the middle school, that's when they saw the peak speeding, which caused dangerous conditions for the kids and all these other concerns. Not necessarily during the summer months. And so once we talked, there were some different options that we kind of discussed that we could maybe do, what they were looking for. Certain things that were brought up were speed bumps throughout the alley. calcium chloride to help with the dust, asphalt the road, drainage in the alley, police enforcement, and then removing rock that's in the alley and lowering the surface of the alley to create water shedding off into the alley, into the homeowners' backyards. So there was a lot going on there. In the meantime, as you can see in this picture right here, obviously massive kind of low area. City staff went in there and added rock to this area. Not too long after that, we had a pretty good sized heavy rain. Talked to Clint Howard. He said he was gone. He come home. If you want to scroll up, he was expecting to see the alley just to be in the terrible shape. He said actually the alley was in really good shape. There was no ponding water. But from what I'm understanding, it kind of shed off, and we were getting a lot of ponding in the back of the residence. As you can see in this alley, we do have a lot of a lot of downspouts that shed into the alley. Clint Howard, this is his residence. Can't think neighbor down here. They also have very large concrete driveways and parking stalls, so that water's got to shed somewhere. So I guess to summarize this, there was a lot of good discussion. We advised that some of the stuff that we could do maybe have a negative influence. And so if you just go right to, hey, let's asphalt it and just get rid of the problem. Asphalting is going to increase the speeds. Speed bumps could create a dangerous, if kids don't flying through the alley, it could become dangerous. I just openly discussed with the residents that, a gravel alley is a permeable material. It's rock. It absorbs, right? And an alley is meant to shed off water. We don't have curb and gutter in alleys, so the water is either going to soak in the rock or they're supposed to shed off. The purpose of the alley is to keep the potholes off it, no water sitting on it, so the water's got to shed. Well, unfortunately, with the heavy rains that we've been getting, that water is shedding and kind of ponding a little bit in these backyards. So we've talked to Steve with the police department as far as some different ways to help with the speeding. They are there. I know they're there all the time with the bus scramble and kind of keeping that a safe zone. He talked about, keeping an eye on that. However, the school kids and that intersection of the bus scramble was priority number one. So we talked about putting up signs. Those are just some of the options that we suggested. I know there's some residents here. If you guys would like to speak of anything that maybe I missed or you have been seeing.
One little rebuttal.
Come up with
I said for a while, I have to take a while to get moving, and Mike Constant, 714 Elm Street. Could you scroll down, whoever does that, to those pictures that were just on? To Brandon's point a little bit, he said that the some downspouts coming out in a couple places.
Right.
Those downspouts don't go into the alley, they come back into my yard, and I put the bench to the water to the backyard. It's not back to the alley whatsoever. My wife and I moved into that house right behind where the fence is at 13 years ago on July 4th. It was 102 degrees. It was dusty and heck. I think we were in our 5th year of drought. And we knew within 2 weeks that we were never going to be able to open up our windows and face the alley. The dust was so bad and somebody went down. I don't care whether 10 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour. The dust really just allowed. We had seen pictures of dust storms at the Sahara. That was what it reminded me of. One of the reasons we put the fence up is we thought maybe that would keep the dust into the alley. It didn't work. So we have dust. We have heart issues, not caused by dust, but every once in a while when the dust comes through, you can tell it gets harder to breathe. The problems we have, and I'm not going to address the slowing down the traffic. That's not on my agenda. My agenda is to get the alley so it's usable. In the summer, it's dusty. It's a desert. In the fall and the spring, it's mud, it's pits. The gravel has helped. What the gravel did to go on what Brandon said, You raise the alley up even more, so now the alley is several inches to a foot above the yards around them. Water goes in. We've got rock 3 feet on the yard side of that fence. We've got water coming in the stream, the mulch that we've got in there into the yard, which is 20 feet from the fence. We can't put any back, so every time we rain, if it rains now and we go back in and decorate the yard, that stuff's gonna flow in. So we're kind of like, what do we do to our yard? And that is, in my opinion, is just because the alley over the years has had a lot of gravel put to it, and the gravel is pushed to the side because of there's no drains there, which a drain would be really helpful. It pushes to the side and it just keeps building up. So now that, like I said, the alley is above the level of the yards on either side. The house that over here too, they went, I think it was about 4 years ago, that they went in and installed their own drain. They paved their parking area and installed their own drain. Water flows in now into their driveway worse than it ever did. Of course, it goes down the drain, but water's still coming from the alley. As far as traffic, this is sometimes Grand Central Station. Sometimes there's no one there, but when we have the bus scramble going on, you'll see cars going at each other. And then they pull over in the yards to get around. Now, is this happening every 5 seconds? No, it's happening more than any other alley in town. By a long shot. This is a very unique alley because of that. People use it as a shortcut. And once they do it once, when they do it once, they do it 3 times, they do it 4 times, do it 5 times. So there are people coming up and down on that. There are in one house, you can see some rock holes in their vinyl fence. But for the most part, I think it's the dust, the mud, the fact that we pay the same taxes as anybody else in town that has a paved alley. Taxes are the same. So in my opinion, and I'm a little biased here, I'm getting a little screwed because I'm paying for something I don't get. They don't get the dust and the mud. We get that at our house. So I think there's a fairness issue there. But for the most part, it would take quite a bit, I think, to dig it down and put a drain in it. And if there's the opportunity to put a drain with gravel around it, fine and dandy, and put some of the dust remover stuff that Brandon mentioned. We just want a usable, livable environment around our house that doesn't include mud and dust. If I want mud and dust, I'd move out the country. You know, being facetious a little bit, but that's what we feel like right now is that there's only about 7 houses, I think, on the alley that have access to the alley. Where the parking garages and everything like that. But it's not a workable, it's not a livable environment when it's dry or when it's wet. And this year we've had some excess rain, which has brought all this up. But I would welcome any one of you guys that want to come over and take a tour of our backyard. I've got piles of mulch. We're on a 3rd set of mulch piles to get rid of. And I don't know whether to take them to the grass or take them to the tree dump. But I've got to get rid of them somehow. So a data dump, yeah, I get a little emotional about it because it's 13 years of this. And then when I found out 3 years ago that we were paying the same taxes as what the person with paved, I started thinking something has to be done about this. So we started talking about it, and I've talked to Brandon a couple times about it, and he's come out and put the gravel down, and that did help. The ponding, the alley, it did not help the overflows going into the personal acres.
Brandon, the runoff's supposed to go into the yards, isn't it? Isn't that what it's intended to do?
So, yeah, so.
Because the alley isn't running.
Our job is to create a safe travel in the alley, with it being a rock, just like a gravel road. We can't put a crown to it, but our job is to make sure there's no standing water in the alley. So it's permeable, it's either gonna soak in or it's gonna shut off. What you want it to do is to shut off.
Another question I have is how many alleys do we have that are paved?
Very few.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe 7 or 8 blocks worth.
No, I'd say almost half of them are paved.
No way in the world.
Yeah,
So
I don't think so.
we blocked up and down, but it's
yeah.
And again, we're unique. We're the one that's got the gravel above.
So
And Mr. Mayor, if you said that the alleys were built so the drain off goes into the yards, that doesn't include, that doesn't do the runoff like we got. Come on over and I'll show you how it's washed like a flood. This kind of little runoff and drives in. This is a flood where everything is moved. And you can see, I've got pictures. Some of those are mine where we've got 6 inches of standing water in my backyard.
Well, we've had considerable rain this year.
That's, we've got to rush up, and yes, we have.
No, so,
Look at the end.
so that may be some of it. And again, I know you've been there through several seasons, dry, wet, you know, historically. But yeah, I have some, I guess, inside knowledge of the alleys of Webster City. And I'll tell you why. I used to be a pizza delivery driver, right? So I knew the fastest way to get to anything, you know, in town and what alleys, what. So I think there really is maybe, I would just kind of go out on a limb here, say maybe 15% of our alleys are paved, maybe even less, maybe like 10 that I'm aware of. And if things have changed, I apologize. But what I'm getting at is, you know, your comments about paying the same taxes and a fairness thing, you know, I think this is one of many alleys, you know, that have the similar issues, you know, similar problems. And then do we just pave them all? Because again, to your point about fairness, then that would be an argument then to pave all of them. And then everyone's taxes go up because rising water raises all ships. So now we pave all alleys. Now everyone's taxes go up. Now is that fair? So I'm asking the counterpoint there, Mike. And I drove down this alley today and I took an old truck I have that has horrible suspension. I just kind of wanted to check it out. So I drove down it. And I didn't look too hard. I didn't get out of the truck or nothing, go knocking anyone's doors, but I drove down it. And to be honest, to the lay person, I do feel it is an above average alley or travel. Now, what that does to your home, I don't have privy information to, because again, I didn't go across the fence. But the condition of the alley, I feel is in a condition that is satisfactory to our roads department. But I just don't see how paving it is a fairness issue. It might solve some problems you guys have, but I don't see it as a fairness, it's a taxpayer issue. So that's why I asked is like, do you then feel all alleys should be paved?
If that's what it takes to have one, but again, we're here talking about my alley, which is the most unique alley. There's no other alley in town that has the traffic because of the school situation that we have.
And I agree that point. So how about
maybe not necessarily though. You've got a lot of other alleys in town that have quite a bit of traffic in them.
So
for other reasons, but yours is only for an hour a day, whereas these
get out when it's school time. That's the way that we can get out to go to the doctor, anything in the morning. And when that mud is this deep, the water is really hard to get out. It's
an interesting point, which said in fairness. So let's take fairness out of the issue and just talk about the alley is not a good alley. You're seeing the gravel there, and that's only been there for about 2 weeks. Something like that.
And that's probably longer.
Maybe 3.
It wasn't, I was through there a couple of weeks ago when this first came up.
Yeah, it hasn't been there very long. It was put there since we had the meeting with Brandon earlier, which made a difference in the alley. But again, all it did was help the alley put more water into the yards. And I don't agree that the alley's runoff should be to the residents. Water runoff from the alley should be in a drain going down to the sewer system or a drain storm system, something like that, not right back there with the rock.
That's good for you to say, but the trouble is alleys were never made to have drainage systems in.
And alleys were never made to have the thoroughfare and the number of cars that we've got either. The alleys were made for local residents only, not somebody cutting through. We've had UPS and FedEx go through.
Would a solution then be, because every, bus scramble, a school employee reels out a stop sign on a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Des Moines and Elm, and also I think the Des Moines and Prospect. Would a solution be just closing off that alley? I understand that's your only exit during that time frame, but closing off that alley to through traffic during that time frame. So instead of wheeling out one stop sign cart, we put temporary signage up on that alley so there just is no through traffic.
It's a workable solution for the traffic. It's not a workable solution or a solution at all for the best in the.
Well, I think if you want to pave the alley, then I'm happy to. I would love to pave my alley. It's something my wife's been on me for 25 years to do.
Well, that's something.
And she'd lived there, I think, nearly 40 years. But that I'm happy to pave my alley. And I'm happy that they can tax me for it. They can assess my thing and I'll pave my alley. But in fact, I wanted to pave just my properties itself, but I'm not allowed to.
There's a section of it.
But yeah, you're not allowed to do a section of it. But
There is an
in
alley
your
town
case,
that's
you
in
want
here.
us to pay for it. Now, we can't afford to pay for the streets we have already. And now you want us to do all the alleys as well.
Well, I don't know
Which-
what they've been
which
paying for
gets
taxes
it.
for the alley taxes, what they've been going for. Are they going to the streets or are they going to the alley?
The what?
I don't know, but there's taxes for alleys, I'm assuming.
No, taxes for alleys.
So there's taxes, so I went down and talked to the city, the state, and asked them if there's any difference between taxes for paved and unpaved, and it says no, it's all one tax.
Yeah.
So I assumed that there was a tax for alleys, for repair, for maintenance. Does somebody have, how's that happen?
Just as an aside, so the property taxes that you pay go into the general fund of the city. They also go into the debt service fund of the city, and they go into the employee benefits fund for the city. The general fund right now currently does not have any costs for street maintenance in it. There are two funds of the city that streets are taken care of. The first is the road use tax fund, which funds the salaries for our street department, as well as some other equipment and improvements to the roads, like the gravel that was placed in your alley. That is actually generated from an appropriation we received from the state of Iowa. It's about 1.1 million. The second source of funds for road improvements at the city is the sales tax fund. Generates again another approximately 1.1 million. And that's what we've been utilizing for Brewer Wilson, Brewer, the road project by the elementary school, Fairmeadow 2, Fairmeadow 1, the concrete work that is going on Beach Street. Now there probably are some road improvement projects that as a property tax you are contributing to that are funding debt. So East 2nd Street, that improvement, a portion of your property taxes are going to cover that debt, which is a road project. I hope that helps. It just explain the funding and sources for the payment of road
I think
improvements.
you're asking is there an extra tax because you have an alley?
Well, that's what I was
And I
looking
don't
to, I'll go
believe-
down and check with the county.
Yeah,
And- But what I like to hear is what's gonna happen to the alley, just nothing, it's gonna stay like it is, and we'll continue to get rock in our yards.
Well,
Can we do that calcium?
Yeah, we could possibly do like
Do
a
we have
dusting.
calcium every alley in the town then? Because that's what you have to do. You can't just do this and say, don't mind.
Yeah.
So,
So that's a tricky part, Mike. I mean, I know it's personal to you and I know it's affecting, I know you take a lot of pride in your house. You have a beautiful home and I understand that. But again, like the mayor just said, if we do this, if we go, hey, let's pave it. Hey, let's treat it differently than any other alley, then that's going to be assumed that's good to be and expected more so in everyone's alley, and that's the tricky part. If it's an issue 2 different times during the day during the school year, let's address that. Let's keep it safe. Don't let people take a shortcut to your guys' alley. I get that.
I can't, the speed bump thing isn't gonna work because unfortunately, most of the school years in winter and we send a plow down there, I mean, we can put them in, but they're not gonna last, so that's not gonna work for us.
That's not a.
Obviously, we're gonna have to see if we can stop the traffic out down there.
Stop the traffic is one against the issues.
That gets that done, but I mean, unless everybody in your alley wants to pay to have it paved, then it's not gonna get paved.
Well, then we have to do something with dust. I assume that you're saying that's flat out, no.
Yeah.
We just said. all right.
That's what I would say that now, like I told you already, I'm happy to, if the city's gonna wanna pave my alley, I'm happy to pay for my piece.
I would be true if they come up with an offer. Or something on it.
And
Well, I mean, we can absolutely do that.
Well, do something like that and let us see what it would cost.
But
Because I'm gonna go back to the original issue that I was up with when we started this committee is the dust and the mud.
Mhm.
The dust is a health issue. when there's a lot of water standing out there and there will be water standing out there, we have more bugs. So if we want to continue this and then get back and forth of it to make sure that something happens, we can come up with a health issue and a health issue and a health issue, and we'll start getting doctors to say that there's a problem.
So as part of this discussion, to keep the discussion moving forward, not to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
that. Can we find out what does it cost to essentially take a alley that size and pave it? Secondly, I think you've already got planned to do a traffic study for how many cars are going down the alley once school starts.
Correct.
So I mean, that's two parts of it. I think it remains to be seen what the runoff will do if you do pave it. You might end up with more water in your.
If you pave the probably a drain in.
Well,
we don't.
I don't know that you can put a drain without completely taking and put in infrastructure, can you?
This is an odd alley where it has a storm sewer in it, but
Oh, does it?
you want to go like 13 or 10, 13 feet and then add a storm with manholes and stuff, obviously, I think would we give us around $40,000 to asphalt it? Somewhere in there, I'd have to go back and double check, but 40,000, it's probably another 20 to 15,000 for, if you want to start adding storm sewer and all that.
Well,
I don't,
there is also. Sorry.
What does it cost to put the stuff on to make the dust better?
oh, considerably a lot cheaper.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know what that costs.
Me too.
I think I would say it's around $1,000.
Once, twice, once a month, I mean.
That's it.
Once free.
One time.
One time.
Yeah, and they do it in the spring, and usually they would do it mid to late summer. So the two applications could be $2,000.
I feel like that would
Every
be more
year?
feasible than.
And then when you do that, you can't grade it. So once you put the application down, you can't grade it. If it gets potholed, then you kind of gotta leave it, because if you grade it, then you take all the. What you put down. Kind of goes.
Sure.
But I want to thank you guys for your time for getting us on this quick. We just met with Brandon about a month ago, and all of a sudden, I looked yesterday and saw the agenda, and holy crap, we're supposed to go to this meeting.
Well, I'm glad you
can.
can.
Help Brandon today.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot for you to come here, and I appreciate that.
Well,
Yes.
It's something, it's concerning to you, and I, it's something we'll keep looking at it, and hopefully they'll send you some ideas of what.
Okay, and this is the first salvo. We're more than happy to start talking back and forth again, but something has to be done.
If we've got a drain on there, then, maybe we got something to start with. Unusual to have a storm sewer, like I said.
That's the reason why New Ross, so New Ross still the lift down ways, that's why they did it, the normal do have one. You just gotta think about it, I know that we can go on about this, but, if you do asphalt, if you guys decide to do that, you're almost gonna have to have all these new roads where it's gonna be inverted. So all your roads are gonna be like that, so, you've seen roads that are inverted sometimes when the snow melts and it freezes. Now you got ice, it doesn't shed off to the side, it sheds to the center. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything you do, the majority of the time is the summer months. So, and we can go through that.
And of course, it's very flat, some of the alleys are on hills and stuff, so.
Yeah, that's very flat.
This one is very flat.
I just want to point out, and I believe this is the case. In the instance of the first drain that's been installed, the property owner installed the drain and connected it to the city's storm inlet.
They paid for that.
Yeah.
By themselves.
And that option, and I know it does not meet your expectations tonight, but okay. But that option is at least available to you if it would work. Is that correct, Brandon? Yeah.
And the other option I have, we've got lots of gravel from the alley in our yard, and that's just started really this year because I think it was built up a little bit more. We put thousands of dollars in the back of our yard. You're more than welcome to come over with plants and everything into the landscape. And now all of a sudden we've got rock and we've got water coming into the middle of the yard and everything. So what are we supposed to do with it? Just let it go to weeds?
Is that yours right there with the timber fence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come over anytime. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. We're bailing out.
All right, well, that's all we got, Brandon. Call for motion to adjourn.
So second.
All ahead and favor, say aye.
Aye. Plans of these.